have another example of factoring. So given the example, x to the fourth minus x squared equals 20, we know that in any factoring when we solve, it has to equal 0. So to make that happen, we're just going to subtract 20 from both sides. And this is a solvable equation. So in this problem we're lucky because we have x to the fourth and x squared and no other x's in the problem. So we can write this x squared times something else, x squared equals 0. Now we know that just like a quadratic equation, we know that if it's a negative constant at the end, it's got to be minus something and plus something because of our rules when we FOIL. So here we know that this is an invisible -1. So something that multiplies to be -20 and adds up to be -1, we would have -5 and +4. Now when we FOIL this, we know x squared times x squared is x to the fourth plus 4x squared minus 5x squared would leave us with -x squared. Now do the last, -5 times +4 is -20. Now just as in any factoring, we're going to take each term and set it to 0 in order to solve for x. So let's take the first one. We can go ahead and add 5 to both sides because we want to get x alone. Now to get rid of the squared, we'll just take the square root, do it on both sides, leaving us with x equals square root of 5. But remember that when we take the square root of a number, it has to be plus or minus, because negative something squared is the same thing as positive something squared. So this we have as two solutions, one positive, one negative. Now we take the second term and do the same thing. X squared plus 4 equals 0. Now this one's a little bit different, and we'll see why. We'll take the 4 and subtract it from both sides to get x by itself. Now to get rid of the squared, we put that under a square root. And whenever we see a negative number inside of a radical, think I. So this is the same thing. Don't forget your plus and minus, as the square root of -1 times 4, which we know is the same thing as square root of -1 times square root of 4. We know that the square root of -1 is I, and the square root of 4 is 2. So just to clean that up a little bit, we have x equals plus or minus 2i as our second two solutions. And we're done.